I want to give you massive value here. So what I wanted to do was I mapped out a little blueprint for you guys that I wanted to share with you. And why don't we do a little, I'll bring up screen share in a little bit for you guys. So what I titled this conversation here, is it a home? Is it a temple? Is it a jail cell? Or is it a sacred space, right? Now, most people's homes, they start out to be this sacred space, right? Where you're passionate to be in. And over time, I don't know about you, but your home seems to like, you will fill any space you lived in. Like when I lived in a little room in the basement of an apartment complex in North Brunswick, I only had so much room. So I only filled it with so much stuff, right? But when you first buy the house, you walk through it and it's just so like clean and clear and there's not a ton of stuff. And it feels kind of sacred to you, right? It feels very energizing. And then over time, you buy something, you move something, you take something on from somewhere else, and all of a sudden this cluttered home starts to carry a little bit of an energy. Now that's just on the material things. And if you could relate, kind of just type in. And also if you're joining me here, share this too. Just hit share and it will, so other people could get it. So you get this home or wherever you're living, it's the space that you're living in. And there's all kinds of components to the space, right? So one, you have material things. And let me ask you something. How does that make you feel, the material things? Number two, you have people things, right? You have your children, your partner, and how does that make you feel? And then there's a sense of energy that this carries. And energy, let me do this for you really quick. Let me share this here. Okay, let's look at this on the tablet here. Okay, cool. So if we look at this, right, we have this kind of area here, and we have all these material things. And you tell me about your material things that you have. And like, where do you have things you like and where don't you have things? So if you go to material things, you probably have down here, you probably have like a bedroom, right? And maybe that doesn't have too many material things. Maybe it's a bed, a couple dressers, TV, and it just feels clean. But then we go over to here and we go to the basement. Now, tell me about the basement. What's in the basement? Is that the catch-all for everything? Or maybe it's a finished basement, but in the basement, you have this back room, right? Maybe it's a utility room, and then maybe that's the catch-all. If that's not the catch-all, then you have extensions of this space, right? So all of a sudden you have this material and you figure, well, you know what? I have a shed. So that becomes the catch-all. And every one of these things starts to add some kind of either temperature, energy, feeling, thought to it. Now, some of you are like, Mike, please stop. Okay, please stop, because now you're starting to think, well, it could be the drawer that you put all the what they call the junk drawer. I mean, if it's a junk drawer, it's probably junk. Probably should throw it out, right? Then what we have, and we're talking about this, right? We're talking about this, and let's just say this is your home or where you spend a lot of time, and this is your space. Now, what we have after that is we now have people, right? So I'll tell you what, we'll do this for people. Why don't we make people, we'll make them, well, that's just a weird shape. But for now, we're going to make that people, okay? So now all of a sudden we have partner. And partner brings in some kind of maybe emotion in there. And then maybe, how about we'll do it for this one here we go. Let's see what kind of shape this one does. Okay, it's just kind of a rectangle. And then you have kids. So now we have this thing inside the house that starts, stick with me on this. Okay, this is going to come together for a bunch of you. And for those of you that watch this, this could be life and game changing. You might solve a big problem. And then in between these two areas of the material things and people things, you have a sense of energy. Now, tell me in the chat bar, is there some areas of the house you walk in, feel amazing? And is there other areas of the house you avoid it? Like maybe your kid's room, you avoid it. You just shut the door and walk by. Now, here's the opportunity that you have with this. What if you created your home into an environment of peace, harmony, abundance? You may not be thinking that the environment that you live in is an abundance vehicle. But I'll share with you, you might not be right with that. It might be one of the key abundance vehicles for you. I mean, did you ever notice when you let something go, something better comes to you? When you decide to remove something that doesn't feel good, better things start to come to you. So I wonder if you started to think of your home as this maybe abundance sacred space area, and you started to create peace and harmony in it, right? What would start to change in this? Now let's look at this. If we say, now somebody shared, I'm going to share you something that was pretty eye-opening to me, right? So this is going to be our home, okay? Just so we could put a little shape to it. Now, part of the home, it stores stuff. Now, someone that was talking to me about abundance said, let's think of this. How much of your home do you use to live in, and how much do you store stuff in? And it looks like you probably live, and tell me if this is right. Type in the chat bar if you think this is right. I'm curious. Would you say that you live in 25% of the home, 30%, and 70% of it is storage? Think about that. You live in maybe your kitchen, your bedroom, your living room, and maybe you go visit the garage. I mean, is it 25% of real, the most usable space that you use? Let's say it's 40%, even 50. Well, the other 50%, guess what that is? High cost storage, right? Look at your taxes you're paying, look at how much you're paying for your home, and all of a sudden you probably could go rent in a storage facility. So that kind of hit me when somebody shared that with me. I was like, okay. The next thing you have is like, it's places you eat in, right? It's like, okay, inside the home, there's places we eat in. Then there's going to be places that we get social inside the home. And then how does that? Then there's a place that we sleep in. And how does that work? And then all of a sudden at the top, you have what I would call this sacred space. Now, what is this sacred space to you? This is the place where you go and you feel a sense of harmony, quiet, peace. Nobody's bothering you. I don't know about you. When you have young kids, you can't even escape to the bathroom because they're, and I know you got to relate to this, right? Let me talk to the dads a minute, right? You get home from work, you did all your stuff, you worked hard, all of a sudden you say hi to the family. You say, I'm just going to go to the bathroom, so I can go to the bathroom and just take a shower, right? Just to reset. You go in the bathroom and then dad, dad, right? And you're like, oh my goodness. Can you relate to that? All right, type in if you can. Now, if we start to get our home in line, and most people think that getting the home in line is get a new home. Here's how you know that some people kind of are in an energetic struggle in their home. Let me share. They all of a sudden do the kitchen over, and then they feel they got to modify the kitchen again, and then modify it again, and then modify it again. So they keep changing the same kitchen over and over because they're trying to create a sacred space. But what happens is they're stuck in this whole story of what they think this thing should be instead of how they want this thing to feel, right? Now, some of the actions you could do, this is really simple, and I think it's fun if you think about it. You could just create a map of your home. Just do a simple map. Draw the have the garage. Maybe you have the living room here. Maybe you have a bedroom. I don't know. You guys know how to draw a house. Draw your house. And then turn around and say to yourself, just a simple gauge. I want to make this as simplistic as possible for you. And if you do the exercise, you get some really cool results. Let's just say that we have an energy chart. Is that cool? Look, you don't have to be an energy guru to know something feels good and something doesn't feel good. Do you ever walk in a room and you get the doesn't feel good, or wow, this feels welcoming? Okay, let's use the simple numbers, 1 to 10. Okay, let's say 10's amazing. You love it. It's exactly how you want to feel. You want to hang out in there. Maybe you read a book. Some people call it their man cave. I don't know. What do women call it? If it's not a man cave, what women, type something in here. I need to know what you call your space. Okay. And now go room by room and say to yourself, okay, my living room. Yeah, it feels pretty good. It's an 8. What's something I could do to make it a 10? Maybe it's got too much stuff in it, like remove a couch, remove a chair, pull something out of there. I really want to make a solid statement here that when you get things dialed in your home, it carries into, it's just like if you look at the life wheel, every single thing is interconnected and affects the next. If the home doesn't feel good to you, I guarantee that's showing up in your career, your health, and your relationships. You guys tell me, if you're in a relationship and all of a sudden the house is a wreck, things aren't coming together, does it start to affect the relationship? Yes, I think it does for most people, right? So you can build this simple map. Now, when you're done with this and you get it, so you make some simple changes. Now, I'm not telling you have to get Feng Shui, even though my wife and I did Feng Shui, I think, almost every house that we had. So I am a believer. If you don't know what Feng Shui is, maybe my wife will type it in on this. I'll post, you can look it up, but it's a way to look at the elements and be aligned and things. I'm a big believer in that stuff. Now that's pretty intense. This is the simple version. We'll call this the Mike Shui, okay? Just a way to get things aligned a little more. Now, when you step back and you look at things and how everything starts to change, everything starts to clear up. It starts to feel more improved. And we go from chaos and confusion to peace and harmony. Be upfront with me. Those of you that are watching the video, type below. Do you have some chaos and confusion inside your home? Does that chaos and confusion lead to a bunch of happiness in the house or a bunch of arguments in the house? Are you upset where the shoes are, the clothes are, the doors are, and all this stuff? If you do, well, I wonder how you would feel in life in every area if you just made some adjustments to that. Let me give you your 3-step action plan today. I'm going to make this quick. I'm going to make this to the point. And then this way you watch this video and you take action on it. And then you hit us back up and you say, okay, this is what it did for me. Number 1, map it. Just map it out. That's all. Just map it out. Make the blueprint and the diagram. Map out your house, you rate it, photocopy it, have your children rate it, photocopy it, let your wife rate it or husband rate it, and then you guys compare. You might be like, the garage is like an energy 10, makes me feel like our nirvana. Your wife goes, it's a 3, it's disgusting, and I can't stand going out there to pull a car out. And then you go, oh, okay. So wait a minute, the environment empowers me, but it affects her. I wonder if we can make it so it improves both of our lives. So number 1 is map it. Number 2, rate it. It's that simple. How do you feel? Inside, not outside, not like I look around, there's a bunch of shit all over. Not that. How do you feel internally? Number 3, change it. That's it. Make some changes. I'm always blown away when I look at people and I say, like, you have this house. You complain about chaos, like you can't buy a shelf, you can't buy a gallon of paint. I mean, today, like, there's so many options to get things on Facebook, and people get almost anything you need within reason. You probably could ask somebody and somebody's throwing it out. Should ask me, I probably got something that we're throwing out, right? Because what happens is when you really understand the nature of your home, and what that home feels like, chaos or sacred place, you start to say to yourself, well, hang on a minute. Most people, that become minimalist and they start removing everything, that they're in line with energy and freedom of the mind, because chaos steals freedom of the mind, right? Now, you might function well within chaos in your home, but you don't have a free mind. That's why you see moms a lot of times, or dads, they're always freaking out, right? They're like, oh my God, this is all over and this is all over. Chaos. And then they go, I can't get time to breathe. No, you're breathing, because if you didn't have time to breathe, you'd die. You can't get time to think because of the chaos. All of this comes down to exactly how your home is. So the challenge for all of you is to simply map it, rate it, change it, create your home into the sacred space, and then let me know, be aware once you do this, let me know how it affects every other area of the life. And if you take on this challenge and really give it an honest effort with your family, if you don't get any abundance within 30 days, like unexpected abundance, unexpected thought, unexpected wisdom, unexpected greatness starts coming in, send me a message. I will be really, really surprised. All right, I'm rooting for you. You got this.